welcome back to WR Console Tier 2. It is round 2. We are here in Texas for Season 19. This is now. My name is Ace. I will be your main and only commentator, unfortunately, tonight due to some late dropouts, but it is looking to be a good round. We have all 20 drivers in tonight. It is only one reserve, if I remember correctly, which is who is the reserve? Chris, I think it is tonight. So apart from that, we are looking to have a good qualifying and then the race. Firstly, we'll go through the calendar. Only the second round, but after that we go to Singapore, Vegas, Silverstone, Zandvoort. We go to Hungary, and then we take it's either a 2 or 3 week break. I think it may be a 3 week break between that, and then we head off to Canada in the new year, then Austria, then we round it out in one of the best places to round out of all, Brazil. But we'll quickly look at the standings now, as it's defaulted back to what it previously was, as I need to do this. So Herbie obviously leading after getting a win last time out in China from Max van der Geest and MXN. But in your constructor standings, it's also Aston Martin leading from VCarb from Mercedes. So it is looking to be, obviously, anything could happen tonight. But we will switch over to the game now, which has deactivated for some reason. There we go, we're back now. But first one out on a lap, mind you, Nick has a qualifying ban from retiring on track last week, if I remember correctly from the report. Who is first on track? I need to be able to find him. It is Max van der Geest coming through the end of, start of Sector 3 in towards the end, starting of his lap, hopefully. He will be able to get a good lap in for his banker at least, and then can push on from there. But rounding out the final corner now to start his lap on up towards turn 1 with DRS already open. I will put telemetry on because it is only qualifying so far. Heading up to turn 1, braking as he dares, dropping it down to third gear from 8th, then into the S section of Sector 1, hoping to be able to stick it within the track limits and not go out of them, as it is very easy to do so. And then into the end of Sector 1, it's a 24/7 first sector in towards second sector now, down the hill and then on to the back straight, keeping it within track limits so far still, but getting back onto the brakes again, down to third gear, back on the power, and DRS open, with DRS being used all the way down the straight. Obviously you won't be able to get a tow because of the fact that collisions are off due to the fact there is overpowered slipstream and no dirty air currently on the game. But second sector split is a 1 minute 8, but then winding through into, if I remember correctly, turn 14. Not a bad lap so far, he's kept it tidy, but obviously some others may be able to improve on it on their banker laps. You need to remember, it's only the first lap of the session, everyone can still improve from there. But into the final corner now, back down to third gear, back on the power, and DRS open, ERS being used up to the line. It is a 30.4 for the first lap of the day. I think it was, it's MXN, goes 300 slower. Then you've got Finn Bob, who actually comes into the pit lane. Then you've got Chris, who's invalidated his lap. I'm trying to see if I can find someone else about to finish their lap. Schumacher up towards the line as Nam goes third. Schumacher goes fourth currently, as then Alpha Kevin goes into third place. Typical is has just finished the second sector, winding through 15, 16, 17 and 18 into, I think it's 19 and then 20 if I remember correctly. Then back on the power up to the line. DRS open, ERS already been used, up to 4th place, 30.6 currently, only 5 thousandths off Harvey so far, who doesn't seem to be going again, but at least it's not a bad lap to start him off, as I think Kurumi invalidated his previous lap. He's not going again in this one. Simbox, I want to say, also invalidated. Maybe he's starting one now, or we would tell afterwards. Chris seems to be pitting, so does Lawrence, but Simba through sector 1 at least, didn't get to catch the sector split time, but Simba losing the car basically everywhere it seems. Setup may not be suiting him, but then in towards the hairpin of turn number 10. Down the back straight, DRS open, there's a car ahead of him, but obviously, as we know, you won't get the slipstream effect, you won't get the dirty air effect, as he now winds through into sector 3 in towards turns 15, heads into 16, 17, keeping the foot down, not wanting to lift off a tiny bit, still using all his EOS. He may be boxing, I'm not too sure yet. As he winds through into the final corner, he will finish the lap off down to 30, back on the power, plant it, get DRS open, and he goes 9th with a 30.8. This trio, currently the slowest of everyone, 31.3. As Nail puts in a 30.3 to go almost a 10th quicker than Max on the Geese so far. Hope the stream quality is okay for everyone. I haven't seen any drop frames currently, but I don't want it to also be, laggy and all. So if anything does happen, give me a shout in the chat, please. But do we have any predictions of everyone who's going to either get pole or what the time will be? As the first one to back out on a lap, seemingly, is Finbob. Hello to you too, Zach. But Finbob wasn't having the... Well, he had a decent season last season for what I do remember. Obviously, he only did one race last season, and apart from that, I could not be there. But first race back now for me on this new game, but also new season for WOR. That was Finbob getting ready to start his lap now, planting the power, getting the DRS open. Oh, no, man, he was finishing a lap as I mistaken it, but he goes with 30.5, puts himself up to P4. It's Max van der Geest behind him, who is starting his lap. I think someone else just improved that. I think that was Bobbits to improve. He goes up into 8th for now. I think Chris just started one as well. AGK. So, mind you, Nick had a qualifying ban to serve, so he obviously should be last as long as everyone else who is currently behind, which is just the 2 Alpines, can improve. As AGK went into 14th with a 30 flat, as I need to jump back on board with Max van der Geest, who is coming down the back straight now, using all the deployment possible in towards the next corner, late on the brakes, and then you can save up a little bit more EOS as you're not using so much currently, but he's 1.4 tenths up currently. This would set him on to provisional pole if he can nail the final sector, winding through in towards turn 16 now. can he keep it planted and then not lose the back end or anything in towards turn 19 and then turn 20, keeping it within the white lines towards the final turn now, dropping it to third gear obviously, and then planting the power. DRS open to 30.281 currently, with a 1.3 tenth improvement, but I think that was MXN finishing his lap. I think he may have invalidated that lap, so that would explain why is Harvey currently up in the second sector by less than a tenth of a second, but he could still take out more time in the final sectors as Kevin puts himself into third. I think Samuel went into... No, it wasn't Samuel there. Someone moved up as well. I think it may have been Lawrence Harvey, and backs out of his lap as Nam goes into P6. I think it was may have been Kurumi. It's going to be P12 currently. But Minotaur goes into P4 with a almost 4/10 improvement. So it's not the worst currently for him. But as you can see, is anyone currently on a lap? I think Nell may have just been starting one. Judging off his EOS, I think he has just started a lap. Is anyone else close to potentially finishing one? I don't think so. Chris is invalidated again. He's in P18 so far, but he still hasn't been able to set a valid lap time currently. As Simba, who was previously sliding around throughout sector number 1, is currently up, and then in towards turn number either 11 or 12. I'll confirm that when I can. But he is currently almost 5/10 up on his previous lap, as Kurumi has actually retired. I think Kurumi's retired in the pit lane. Well, that answers our question. As, you know, winding through turn 18 in towards turn 19 now, through into the final corner. He's actually going to box now, I didn't even notice that. Finbarb starting his lap. I'm sorry, Kurumi, how have you... Yeah. Simba, I think Simba did improve on his time previously, as he's on his in-lap bobbit, starting a lap now through turn 1. Had a Mercedes there, I think it was MXN. But through sector 1 now, can he improve on his previous best time? There's 5 minutes left to go in the session now. He's 3/4 of a tenth down, but that doesn't mean that backing out of the lap now you could still improve throughout the rest of the lap. May have just been, obviously a bad sector 1 this time around, but in towards turn number 12 now, down the back straight, DRS open, EOS being depleted down the entire back straight, and then towards the braking zone, dropping it down to third gear, planting the power. Then is he up in sector 2? He is 1.4 tenths up currently, winding out through in towards turn number 15 now. Needs a better improvement. He's currently P12. His teammates in P15. That's not where the Ferrari pairing want to be currently. It's running in towards turn number 19 now. He wants to be able to get himself at least into the top 10. He actually boxes and backs out of the lap. I'm guessing there was a mistake somewhere throughout sector 3. Samuel currently up by almost 2 tenths in towards turn 19 now, Will he finish his lap time, or will he come into the box to be able to get another set of tyres on? You know he's going to finish his lap time at least, getting the power planted, open the DRS, and up the line. P6, 2/10 improvement for the Williams driver with his teammate, mind you, in P14 currently. So, gonna have to hope to get an improvement. MXN down by 0.08 of a second. Going to be able to hope to improve throughout Sector 2 and Sector 3 in towards turn number 11 now, getting power planted, open the DRS down the long back straight, hoping to pick up as much time as possible into the final sector, and then potentially get himself even onto the front row. He only needs, well, if he gets a 10th in this lap, he's currently up by 0.6 of it. This would currently put him P3 if he gets this exact improvement. He would be 0.02 off Neil currently, which for his sake he'll probably be a bit annoyed with, but throughout turn number 19 now and in towards turn number 20, there's going to be one of his final laps of the session with little time left to go on the clock as everyone else comes out for an outlap now. He goes provisional pole, improves by 0.2 of a second. It's a 1:30.169 for MXN Mercedes driver, as his teammate currently sits in P4. This could be the two Mercedes getting at least up there in qualifying, as Max van der Geest is over a 10th off currently on what the provisional pole is. Will he be able to improve? Samuel has retired from the session. He was still in the pit lane at the time, but there could be improvements throughout the field as Neil is starting his lap already in towards the end of Sector 1, almost a 10th up on his previous best time. Through 4th gear, through 5th gear, into 6th, towards turn number 11. Can he get a better lap time? As the Ferrari there may have slightly hindered his sight as he's building back at EOS, meaning he has backed out of that lap. We're trying to see who is going to start their final lap next, as Alpha Kevin has retired in the pit lane, I would assume. As well, where is Addis currently? Addis is there. It's not AGK, it's Lawrence who will be the first one to set their final lap, I think at least. So MXN also retires, so that's no more laps for a provisional pole sitter currently, as Lawrence up by 37 thousandths currently. Would not give him an improvement even in the P13 currently. He needs to improve more throughout the final 2 sectors of this lap. Picking up the power now, planting it wherever possible, and then DRS open, EOS being used as fast as possible down the back straight, as Max van der Geest has barely made it over the line by about 2 seconds there. Where will Lawrence go? He's currently 1.3 tenths up. I don't even think that's enough currently to put him into P13 still. He needs more of an improvement. He needs at least, I think it's 1.6 tenths that he needs. But then throughout the end of Sector 3 now, in towards turn 19, then in towards turn number 20, can he nail these final couple of corners to get a better time in up towards the line? Puts himself P12 with a 2/10 improvement. Who is then next? AGK goes into P7. I think that's Chris, goes into P16 as Harvey puts himself on the front row by a 3/10 improvement there. Max van der Geest not currently improving enough to put him back onto the front row, as Minotaur is back out of his lap time. Finbob can't improve, and Validation Nam can't improve either. Typical, the next to come across the line, 3/10 up previously. Where does he go? Goes into P7 just behind his teammate now. As then it's Schumacher who will come across the line next. Almost a 4/10 improvement throughout Sector 2, and then up into P8 for him. Where does Addy's go? Addy's, of course, invalidates his lap time, but then no, can't improve anymore. It's only Max van der Geest left, I think, up towards the line. He invalidated over the final corner, so it's going to be MXN on pole position from Hervey, from Max van der Geest, Neil, and then Kevin in P5. And that will be your starting grid order, but we will be going to a restart afterwards, of course, as we have turn, obviously, collisions back on. But apart from that, we can get back under racing, and we'll be heading to the 5 out soon. As we said, MSN on pole position at 130.169, almost a tenth ahead of Harvey, but then Max van der Geest, Neil, Kevin, Minotaur, typical Schumacher, Samuel, AGK, Finn Bob, Simba, Nam, Lawrence, Bobbits, Kurumi, Chris, Tria, Nick, and Addy's at the final corner, or somewhere in the final sector at least, and validated his lap time. And apparently, if he had got his lap time in, he could have been P3. So that just shows you his pace, but unfortunately unable to use it due to an invalidation somewhere on his lap. But for now, we will go to an intermission, and we will be back just before the lights are to go out. again, everyone. We are back for the race now as a ton of events. We have James Head in the commentary box with me as well. How are you tonight, James?
Quite literally. But no, I'm doing really, really well. Looking forward to the action out on track. I am dressed in my pajamas, I will admit as well. So this is going to be literally on the cuff commentary. But the drivers are going to get going in 2 minutes' time. Catch me up, especially though, Harvey, on what happened in qualifying.
Well, we had MXN on pole position in the end by just under a tenth of a second from Harvey on the second row. Apart from that, it's probably what you expect in the end of the grid. You've got Max van der Geest P3, Niall P4, and then Kevin in P5. And then apart from that, we only had one crash in qualifying, surprisingly, which was into the pit wall.
Into the pit wall. Interesting. Somebody obviously took the pit wall a little bit too quick then.
Yeah, and unfortunately it was the person I expected to do it, which is bad to say, but... And Kurumi, if you're hearing this, I'm not sorry.
Oh, it was Karumi. Okay, yeah, he starts down in 16th position. I'm just literally catching up on everything.
Yeah,
Minotaur up there, Schumacher up there. It is going to be a very interesting qualifying session, though. Drivers have been told to ready up, I think, at 33, so about a minute away from that. 0.2 of a second, though, covering the top 9. From my experience last week, it was pretty helter-skelter, I've got to say, and hopefully we get more of the same tonight in Texas.
Indeed. I unfortunately had missed last race, but in the end, apart from your issues on the streaming side, you did get it uploaded. Didn't get time to watch it, unfortunately, but in the end, did see that Harvey took the win after a last lap incident between like 3 or 4 drivers.
Yeah, it was a really strange incident, to be honest. But in the end, I think how the racing went down, everything went aggressive. And hopefully they're not like this, to be honest. Hopefully they're not aggressive here tonight. But we have got a talented grid. Man like Ad on top, Harvey second, Max van der Geest in third. I'm going to put immediately my bets on Max van der Geest for the race win.
It's potentially there. I mean, he's P3. He does have, obviously, it would be an outside line as well to Manlike, but you never know. I mean, you've got you've got both Mercedes in obviously the top 5, so they could potentially be working together and try to get themselves a good start off the lights, and then just go from there. What is expected strategy is the question.
Expected strategy, one stop. It's got to be. 5 red lights, though, better go.
As we have 5 red lights on now, and it is lights out, and we are underway now. Manlike has got a good start off him, but he has to cover off Harvey in towards turn 1. He keeps it ahead, at least for now, but Harvey on the run in towards turn number 2 has got it slightly, but Manlike back ahead again. He's kept his lead currently from pole position, moves up and down the field. I see damage going off. That's the typical Minotaur running out wide there down at the back. I think it's Minotaur. He's got damage to his front wing as well, as it's somewhat chaos towards the back of the field. Multiple people sliding around, but apart from that, at the front it's been a cleaner start than what the back has been like, but it's chaos. If you look in towards turn number 11, there's damage flying off there, as you've got about 5 or maybe 6 cars almost alongside each other down the straight. It is at least 4 wide there, down in towards turn number 12. Hopefully this ends with moves being made and not disaster for certain drivers, as you see Samuel then making up positions back up into P9 just behind his teammate as Simba behind him, trying to go around the outside of Finbob, take the inside for turn number 15. He has got ahead, but there's contact there between, I think there was AGK and Finbob as well, but it's now side by side between Bobbits and Minotaur. Bobbits off the track, it's 3 wide through turn number 18. Can they keep it clean for 19? Indeed they can, but some people may have to come into the pits. No one pitting as of yet, as we now head on to lap number 2 now.
Yeah, if I was Monato, I would have definitely put it in. He was absolutely oversteering that car, coming through the right-hander of turn number 16, 17, 18, Verstappen corner, as I call it in commentary. Phenomenal move, by the way, by Alpha Kevin. Up into fourth position, got nailed right down in towards turn number 11, albeit used the pun, nailed that move, I've got to say, from Dalfa Kevin's perspective. Man like the man on top, Harvey in second, Maxwell McGee's in third. Really, really strong showing, I think, opening. Everyone, by the way, on a set of whole compound and sizes. There's more contact, it seems, further down the field, as AGK, the other RB, has now been caught up in an instant, and I think he's got a complete left side end plate missing. So, that is him now dropping down the field, and he's picked up a 3-second penalty, even though he's got inside of each other, inside of anyone. Good. GG game. GG.
There's more damage there at the back as well. I think that may have been off the Haas of Trio, but Ari's getting caught up in the chaos as well. He's hoping to pick up the scraps from where his qualifying was, with obviously didn't get a valid lap time in, but could have potentially been P3 if not for a Sector 1 invalidation. But Trio, I don't know if Trio got damage from that. Is the right side, yeah, his right side end plate's unfortunately missing, as AGK maybe more contact there. This is what not what you want at the start of the race. You want to be fighting more towards the end and not make yourself lose time to the cars ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So Trey, of course, former False Group esports man, now part of TTM. I think a recent signing as part of last week, if I'm not mistaken. He's got damage on the right side end plate. AGK's got damage on the left side end plate. So they were literally oversteering and understeering through the car. AGK retires from the race. Clearly enough damage on that car for him to retire. I don't blame him, to be honest. I would have certainly retired, I think, at that point, if I had left side end plate damage on that car. Trey, though, is continuing on with right side end plate damage on that car as well. But still, nothing really happening up the front, Harvey. Man like out on top, Harvey there in second, Maxwell McGee's in third. Gotta say, Harvey is trying to keep Man Like honest, but Man Like has control of the race so far.
Indeed he does. I mean, this DRS obviously being enabled last lap, but they still have the chance to be able to potentially use the slipstream now and close up towards the front of the field. Harvey hoping to get a move done. Is he going to go send it? He is going to send it in towards Cinema 12, get ahead under braking, and he is fully ahead now with the car's width. But Man Like backed on the inside, has to be given the space. Can he hold on to it, go on the outside, potentially go for the switchback move, as Chris picks up a 3-second time penalty? But Man Like, he's still staying there. He is not letting Harvey off loose, but he is ahead now, and has to concede that position to P2, as Alpha Kevin as well. Closed up a lot throughout Maximum McGeest, throughout those corners, with obviously Harvey and his teammate fighting. But on to lap number 4 now. The DRS being opened again. Can Man Like potentially go for a move in towards turn 1?
No, definitely not. If he does go for moving towards turn one, it's to try and cover off and be tactical, I think, with Harvey in front of him. They've got to work together, essentially, because there could be a bit of a split happening. Actually, there is a split happening further down the field. Lawrence and Finbob, the split has happened between them both. 1.5 seconds separating them both right now. Karumi and Simbarox were side by side through turns number 1 and 2. Simbarox now ahead of Karumi. Samuel Bark again in amongst that battle as well. Harvey, though, up the front, looking pretty good at the FRT, man. Man like there in second, EVE, man, and Max von der Geese for TX10 there in third position. Of course, may as well mention their esports teams. I'm doing Legacy Division comms on Tuesday after all, so you will be seeing some of these guys there on Tuesday night as well. But Max von der Geese, on the back of Man Like with a big and better run compared to Harvey, will have to go for the move. The straight line speed is so potent down the straight. You can gain up to 0.5 of a second. Man Like dimes it to 7th, up into 8th once again, gets the move done. Race lead is now his.
Race lead indeed is back for him now, but he has to defend from Harvey and then Max van der Geest if need be throughout the night. Next couple of corners.
Schumacher! Schumacher goes for an absolute dive bomb from the outside. Sorry to cut you off, Harvey. To the inside line, through the left under 15. Absolutely sent it. And I honestly thought he was going to make contact there. He didn't. Schumacher, I believe, DNF last week, if I'm not mistaken. So he doesn't want to put himself in a situation like what he did there. That was audacious from Schumacher. He knows better than that, and so do I.
Indeed, he needs to keep it clean, but also go for those dive bombs when you can. You currently have, obviously, TTM leading from FRT, as I've just gone and checked. Actually moved from EVE to TTM, I think I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago. So that has caught you up to speed a little bit more, but for he's doing well, for racing in Tier 2, he's also been doing well currently. So down in towards turn number 11 now, holding the lead, but Harvey, he's going to get the DRS again this time around. Potentially another swap incoming for turn number 12. Can Schumacher pull off another dive bomb at some point in this race, or even on this lap?
Potentially, I mean, he's 3 tenths off the back of Nail. They're in front in 5th position. At the minute, nobody's going to go for move. Actually, speaking of which, Max von der Geest to the inside line. The Dutchman, Harvey, forced out wide there, locks up slightly into the left-hand of turn number 12, goes all the way around the outside. Max von der Geest through turn number 13. This is giving Manlike the opportunity to try and break away outside of a second as well. But Max von der Geest, brilliant driving. That's why he's in PSGL, PSF1. Still, though, Harvey trying to come back at him. Harvey, of course, part of Future Racing Team, trying to go for the move. Max von der Geest still completes that move. Thuni's into second. That is a very, very neat move.
Indeed, is a neat move, but it's also a neat lead currently for Manlike now. He's got that up to a second now, but I think just about got the DRS this time around for Max van der Geest and Harvey to keep within, obviously, that P1 tree and not letting him go away just about yet. Everyone on hard compounded tyres, but with everyone within roughly the biggest gap we currently have is 3 seconds, but even then, this field is so close within pace that one mistake, as in 1 3-second time penalty, you could be falling out of the top 10.
Yeah, and look at the battle, actually. 7th and 8th position, I think, mirrors this really well, because that gap was about 1.5 seconds between Typical and now Finn Bob. It's now 1.1, so that you can close in very easily around this track. Texas has definitely proved that in real life, and indeed here in sim racing. And that's what Finn Bob is doing. He's trying to desperately get within that second so he can rage. There was a yellow flag out on track. It's Trey, I think, who had a slight spin at the top of the hill coming through turn number 9. Still going, though, out on track, which is good to report. Still don't know moves really happening. Trey picking up another 3-second penalty out on track. But there could be that big split beginning to form up once again, because Typical was on the back of Lawrence. He's now under pressure from himself more than anybody else. And Finn Bob is a very good driver on his day for BRT. He can close in that gap along with Karumi. They work together. They close that gap back to a second. Everyone to the top 14 is within the DRS.
Indeed. But then again, Karumi and Finn Bob either have to start working together doing DRS swapping, otherwise you never know, this gap could reach out maybe to 1.5 seconds and it's going to be even harder to close back in, but it's currently 1.3. It was very close to getting DRS in towards turn 11 for the back straight, but it just wasn't possible at that time to be able to do so. It's closing down. It went down to 1 second, but it's back up to 1.3 now. Australia has retired from the session, unfortunately. That's 2 drivers we have now lost within the first 7 laps. I would assume that's also due to damage and then obviously his penalties that he had. But Karumi needs to get a bit of a move on if they want to be able to close the gap to like the Typical of the Norns and get back within the battle for first.
Yeah, definitely so. And look at Harvey actually struggling off the back of Max von der Geest. It's 0.5 of a second now, the gap. Max has got 63% of ERS. Harvey's got 84, but I think he's trying to hold on to the tyres, hold on to himself, not try and make a move, as Finn Bob was making a move in the background of the shop. And also, I think Simbarock's going to make a move to the inside line. Typical to the inside line. There's 3 wide, though, in the background. Nearly getting chopped up in the middle of that is Karumi. Simbarock's trying to hang on there, actually in the middle. Karumi there to the inside line. Has a bit of contact, has a bit of rear snapping on that car, and the Alpine completely goes inside. I'm not sure if there's a bit of desync going on here, certainly with Karumi and Simbarox. Karumi, though, I think is going to get ahead. It's not the best ideal to see on a console tier 2 stream. They're now side by side. They're now not close inside of each other. Karumi still tries to hang it around the outside. Simbarox, though, gets the move done. Simbarox rocks into 11th, but Karumi tries to fight that back to the inside line, into the final corner. Doesn't get the move done. All of that battling has now forfeited that gap once again. Manlike, though, out on top. Max von der Geest in second. Harvey there in third. As I've just been invited to console tier 1 stream. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you.
Even better. At least I get to keep my coke on this time. But Schumacher, 0.2 of a gap. He was looking for that move in towards turn 1. Had a little bit of a look down the inside of Nail there. But currently, he was the closest one to be able to go for a move. As that's Kevin. He's made a mistake there or something. That's desync, actually.
No, decent.
That's
Yeah, bit
not
of
the
lag
best.
spiking there. Yeah, bit of lag spiking there from Dal for Kevin. I mean, when I joined the lobby, to be honest, Bobbits was lagging for me as well, so there might be ongoing issues or whatever. But Max von der Geese is setting up the move on the back of Manlike, and Manlike now has got no defense because Max von der Geese sails past him down the straight, halfway down the straight, gets the move done, into the race lead he goes. Manlike there in second, Harvey there in third. They just have to sit and wait. Nick making the move up into ninth position as well. I believe Nick started 19th on the grid as well, so it's a very good movement there from the TTM man. Now Bobbitt's picking up a 3-second penalty. Typical's also recently picked up a 3-second penalty as well. But Max von der Geest now leads the way. Manlike second, Harvey there in third. If you have followed my commentary in the past, and I normally coin the phrase Mr. James, so far it's looking good.
Indeed it is, but that gap, by the way, between P8 and P9 has reached out to 2 seconds. So that fighting, that obviously Simbarock's crewmate
right up his backside into the left-hand return number 11, looks to try and get the move done, maybe down the straight. There is that slight split forming between Manlike and Harvey, so gives the Alpha Kevin a chance, but the Alpha Kevin, in the meantime, has now fallen to the clutches of Nail. Is Nail going to go for the move? Is Manlike going to go for the move? Yes, he does. He breezes past back on the Geese, down the straight towards turn number 12. Job done for him. Nick looking like to get the move done as well on Finbob, all to the inside line. Karumi and Simbarock's in behind as well, all fighting very aggressively, but everyone coming out on top in the end. Manlike now retakes the lead. Max von der Geest in second, Harvey there in third on lap 9 out of 28. Harvey.
Indeed. But obviously Nick, they're fighting around as well, but Harvey, he's closing back into this front two. Could he potentially get back into the lead before the pit stop phase?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, 3.5 tenths of a second behind Max von der Geest. He's got 70% of battery right now. Max von der Geest is on 73, so they're pretty even, I've got to say, in terms of the battery. And Manlike's on 68, so in fact, the top three, all very, very similar in terms of the ERS. The Alpha Kevin's on 38. He's got no chance in a battle like this. Nail, 36%. Schumacher, 48. Typical on 75. He might be the one that makes the ground throughout the field, but Manlike currently holding the sway out in front. Max von der Geest in second, Harvey in third. What Harvey has got to do, though, is find where Max von der Geest's weaknesses are. From my perspective, at least in this commentary box here tonight, Max von der Geest doesn't have a weakness currently out on track. Maybe apart from fighting. Schumacher, though, speaking of fighting, inside line, tries to get Nail into the left-hand 11, backs off, and now he's under pressure from Typical, as Max von der Geest, though, sets his sights for the race lead.
Indeed, he is looking to get back into the lead. Harvey, could he potentially make use of this battle? But look behind as well. Typical going for a move, potentially going for the move with Schumacher, but has to dart back into behind Lowens, almost being able to take the position off him. But the contact there between Lowens and Typical, diving is a little bit too deep. Snap of overstay on the exit. Is he ahead currently? He isn't yet, as Typical diving back down the inside.
Oh no!
Forcing him off the track potentially there, but Lawrence taking the inside line back up ahead in front of Typical, but they've lost the DRS now.
They have lost the DRS, and that was because Typical went too deep into the left-hand return number 15 there. He literally got locked on with Lawrence in terms of, I think it was the rear right wheel to Lawrence's front left wheel. Both of them just collided in terms of the contact. It's so easy to stick on cars on this sim, on this game cycle. So Typical now has to try and find on the back of Lawrence. He has got no Lawrence right there or thereabouts where he wants him. Lawrence, to be fair though, is very low on ERS, so it's going to be a real uphill task now. It's basically Lawrence and Typical have got to swap positions. Typical's got to utilise all that ERS, try and get back within a second, or wait for Schumacher and Nail to make contact and then they're back within a second.
Indeed, but Manlike, he was looking for the move on the end of sector 1. He's going to probably get close enough to be able to go for the DRS swap again in towards turn number 12 this time around. Harvey, the gap sitting around 0.5 of a second still. The real question is, when do some of these guys start to think about a pit stop? Obviously, everyone's in horrors as Manlike takes the lead back again from Max van der Geest. Harvey looking closer that time around. Typical and Lawrence swapping places there as well. Lawrence not too much under pressure this time. But with all that fighting, Nick has pulled away from Finbob and has now got caught up to Lawrence. But Finbob, he's lost the DRS from Nick this time around. Are his tyres potentially starting to go?
Yeah, I think his tyres might be potentially going to go. So the whole compound tyres normally last around about 14, 15 laps, and then we get to see the first pit stops for a set of medium compound tyres. So that should be coming in, you would think, in the next 3 or 4 laps or so, and that's where I think the advantage will be. However, around this track, there is a big overcut advantage rather than an undercut. And an undercut, if you pit in, say, lap 14, on a set of medium compound tyres, likelihood is they're going to be about 70-75% by the time the end of the race comes around. If you pit in around about lap 17 or 18, you've got younger tyres, you can then close in on the gap. So that undercut is so much more powerful than the overcut around this track. And that could mean the likes of Nail, the likes of Alpha Kevin Schumacher will have to try and pit in earlier compared to the guys in the lead. It's very, very tactical, but I'm loving this.
Indeed, it is looking to be, well, close, obviously heading towards the halfway point of this race. Could we get a good ending between the top 6 currently, just fighting for the lead onto the last couple of laps? But Max van der Geest not looking close enough this time to be able to go for a move, just sits in behind. But Harvey also looking closer that time around. But Nick and Owens, by the way, they're fighting already. Nick is making up positions here. Krumi and Finn Bob side by side again in towards turn number 13 and 14, but this isn't what these two want to be doing. They just wanted to do a DRS swap and then push on ahead, get back up to the 3 in front of them. Otherwise, I mean, Typical's fallen 2 seconds behind now. They're going to have to close it up in the pit stop phase.
They are going to have to close up in the pit stop phase, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's in the pits. Yeah, Typical is into the pit lane. Oh, nearly hits the pit wall coming into the pit lane. Jeez, that was close to the right-hand side wall as Typical is into the pit lane. This will be for a set of medium compound tyres on the car, and it is just for a set of mediums. I thought there was a front wing change going on there, but it is a set of mediums. He's blinked first, which means he will be ahead of the guys of man like Max van der Geest and Harvey when they decide to come in the pit lane. If they, as I say, pit in around about 3 or 4 laps' time, this will be Typical's big advantage. But it'll also be a big disadvantage later on the race because he's got the older tyres compared to everyone else ahead of him. So, Typical has gambled. For me, I think he's gambled way too early.
Yeah, he pit on lap 12, obviously. I think it's at least 2, maybe 3 laps early at this point. I mean, Minotaur has also just pit on that previous lap as well, and is only coming out of the pit lane now. So did he have... I would assume there was damage on that car. I've also noticed Simba Rocks has been falling back as well. I mean, Bobbit has also closed up, but Simba, he was falling back quite a bit more than what I was, well, seemingly expecting him to do, because he was... Oh, that's Nam getting very close to the back of Kurumi there. Obviously, the two friends within the esports community. Obviously, you can't really work together because that would be a bit of collusion between, obviously, Alpine and Haas. But getting very close to the rear end there. As that gap, by the way, between Lawrence and Schumacher, 3 seconds now.
Yeah, gap is 3 seconds, but they've got very limited ERS to try and use up. And if they do use up that ERS, it's going to be even more to disadvantage. So Lawrence and Nick have got to basically fight for each other, but they've also got to fight for Finn Bobbin behind. At the minute, Nick has got 60-odd% of ERS, 67% coming out of turn number 1. Finn Bobbin behind's got 44, so 23% difference. And then Lawrence has got 27%. So Nick has got double the amount, even nearly triple the amount of ERS than Lawrence right now. But Nick will not go for the move. He's a very tactical, astute driver. He has done this in WOR Legacy Division on a Tuesday night for TTM. He's been very tactically astute around this track before, and he's looking at very tactically astute on the back of Lawrence once again. But Gab now for the lead, just beginning to extend out slightly. Manlake's trying to drag out the field a little bit. 6/10 of a second leading the way. Max van der Geest in second, Harvey in third, Alpha Kevin in fourth, Nail there in fifth, Schumacher in sixth. Here comes Schumacher on the back of Nail. Is he going to go for an inside move? No, he's not. He's going to go all the way around the outside if he can. Right, I don't think there's going to be too much alongside. It's not, and the McLaren hangs on for fifth. Schumacher there in sixth. Honestly, if I was Schumacher in that position, I'd be egging him on to go for a dive bomb. Nail covers off very defensively to the inside line, thinking that was going to happen.
Indeed he was, but the thing is, if I was Schumacher, I'd maybe starting to think about pitting now. You may lose a bit of advantage at the end, but you at least give yourself some clean air. to push on, try to close up the gap, obviously, to the back of the field, and then work with Typical to get themselves back up. As Lawrence Finn Bob has both hit neither of speeding at least. By the way, Nick's gap is already down by about 4/10. So I think the wrong person was leading that train.
Yeah, where is Typical going to come out in all of this, by the way, as well? Typical's actually already passed Lawrence and Finn Bob down the start-finish straight. And he's going to be, what, maybe 5 seconds ahead coming out of the pit lane? This is going to be 5-6 seconds in around about that period? Yeah.
It's looking towards 6. It's looking towards 6, yeah. I mean, it was 5.9 at max, but almost a 6-second gap between those two. You need to push on now at this point. Obviously, his tyres are going to be basically dead by the end because he's put on lap 12. But he's going to get himself... He's got himself clean air currently. He's got a 6-second gap ahead of him. He's got almost 6 seconds behind him. If he uses obviously the clean air now, push on ahead, as long as he doesn't burn his tyres, he should be fine. But Schumacher, down the inside of Neil, wow. Is there damage on either car there? I swear I saw something flying off. But taking the outside line, trying to get a switch back on Neil now, not possible currently. And the TTM driver holding off on Schumacher currently is there is a yellow flag in the back. Who is that for? That would have been for Nam there, as Schumacher has called it and has hit now as I thought he would at that point. Nick's also in, crewmate Simbo rocks. Who else is going to be boxing now? Chris is in, Addy's, Nam, everyone. It's time to box now. Get it done. So the real question is, where is Schumacher coming out in all of this? As Finn Bob, 3-second time penalty, that's not what he needs. But compared to Typical, where is Schumacher coming out? Because Typical is already ahead. Where is Nick? Yeah. Where's Lawrence as well? Lawrence is close. He's ahead of Nick again. But I think it's like a 3-second gap maybe? No, it's about 2.2. But Schumacher, 3 seconds behind Typical now. Just shows the undercut works at first. But because there's tyre wear, the overcut is better.
Yeah, overcut is better, and later on in the race, the overcut might work, and I mean, and I will emphasise on the might in all of that I was saying. Max von der Geest, by the way, has gone for the race lead on the back of man like Harvey there in third. They'll be into the pit lane, I would assume, to cover off this lap or next lap. They've got to come in and just cover off Typical. It's not going to be too much of a gap that Typical does have. It's going to be maybe about a 2.5 second gap, but everyone else will be on 4-lap younger tyres. That, in theory, means about a 15 to 20% difference in terms of tyre wear, depending on your driving style, depending on how aggressively you've gone through the race. And in Typical's case, it looks like he has gone aggressively. Everyone decides to listen to me. That's a very late pit stop there for Dalfa Kevin, but hitting Bollard there into the pit lane, but everyone else is in. It is going to be a double stack for the Mercedes. You're quite right. Man Mike and Dalfa Kevin are going to double stack. It's going to cost Dalfa Kevin a lot of time, and he's going to be around about Finn Bob, Lawrence, Nick, Karumi, that sort of area. When he comes out of the pit lane, everyone else is going to be behind, I think, Typical, and maybe even ahead of Schumacher. They're coming out of the pit lane now. Max von der Geest is there. There is Typical on the left-hand side of your screen. There is Schumacher. Max von der Geest is at least ahead. Man Mike and Schumacher are going to be side by side coming out of through turn 1. Schumacher has them on the outside line. Man Mike realises that he's there. Schumacher will have to go for the move, and he does go for the move. Gets into third position. It's good if you're Schumacher. It's bad news if you're Man Mike, because you do not want a rolling roadblock ahead of you like Schumacher.
Indeed, you really do not want that. But Schumacher, he had to turn out of the corner in turn 1, otherwise he would have instantly hit Man Mike. That could have been race over for both of them with damage. But currently, obviously, Typical has a penalty to his name. Let's have a look at the penalties. There's 3 seconds for Typical, 3 seconds for Finn Bob. The most currently is for Addies. Sorry, Addies, I was not surprised about that. But
yeah, and more penalties obviously being picked up throughout the field as well. As you quite rightly mentioned, there's a lot of 6 seconds, 9 seconds worth of penalties further down the field. Addies there in 15s. He's doing a good job. He's alongside Nam. Addies is a very decent driver. Nam, very decent driver as well. I think they're both same nationality, if I'm not mistaken. Nam, speaking of which, has just gone for an absolute lovely move to the inside on and Chris. Into the left-handed turn number 12. Job done for him. He's through these into 13. But look at the gap for the lead. Typical now a second. That gap was more 2 seconds. So Max von der Geest theoretically has already closed in a second on the back of Typical. He's just within DRS range now. He has got the DRS detection point, which is good. And Max von der Geest now can utilize that up to good effect. He is going to be all over the back of Typical like chicken pox on a baby.
Indeed, but Max von der Geest didn't actually get DRS that time. The DRS detection zone, it's before turn number 19. And Chris, yeah, I saw him boxing. I think he got damaged between the fighting with Nam. You also said something about having the same nationality. I didn't actually pick up on that. Who did you say, if you can remember?
Adis and Nam, I believe,
yeah,
are
indeed.
the same nationality.
Adis, Nam, and Karimi, they're all French.
Yeah, I thought they were. I was second guessing myself there. But Max von der Geest, look at Typical. Now this is getting tactical. Typical
He's
already pulls the
going
left-hand
for
side.
it.
Once Max von der Geest to go all the way around the outside of him, gets forced off the track. There might be a warning picking up, but you do not want this man here in third coming at you like a scalded cat. Man like him behind as well. Could potentially be at least 2 by 2, maybe even 3 wide down the straight as Man like goes for the move. Schumacher way too late on the brakes to the inside line. Tries to get the move done. Typical of Man like now side by side. Schumacher, not on earth what that was about, to be honest, but he gets the move done somehow. Great reaction timing from Schumacher there. That could have easily been damaged. In the end, it wasn't. Schumacher through he's into second with probably one of the best moves I think I've ever seen him pull off.
I think, yeah, but if I would ignore the fact, obviously, he somewhat pushed Man like off the track a little bit there, but all that has just given Max von der Geest a 7/10 lead, almost an 8/10 now, as Harvey 3-second time penalties picked up from track limit warnings. That could ruin his podium chances that he was looking at. Potentially also his charge for championship contention as Kurumi. I was not expecting a DNF from him, but he's retired in the pit lane now. That could be issues with his PS4 as well.
Yeah, definitely so. Bell Rothix, by the way, saying that the stream had gone. I'm luckily not streaming tonight, so you can't actually blame me for the stream.
Indeed, you really can't. I noticed the frames dying, and it slightly cut out for a second. I think my router turned off and back on. I'm surprised I didn't leave the lobby.
Nah, I'm surprised I didn't leave the Discord call if that was the case, because it normally happens on my end as well. Anyways, look at the gap. Max von der Geest, 1.5 seconds over Schumacher. Man like there in third, now for second. Look at Harvey, though. He's going to try and get the double toe down the straight. Now on the back of Man like, gotta go for the move to the inside line. Just risk it for a chocolate biscuit. He doesn't in the end. Harvey is better than me, I've got to say, in terms of driving out on track, because I would have definitely sent that move to the inside line on Man like. Harvey there, though, in third, gives now Man like a very, very good opportunity to get back within DRS range. Even though Max von der Geest is outside of a second, it is so easy to gain back within a second around this track. And Man like is desperately trying to do that. He might just have to use up a little bit of DRS. There's a DRS detection point, and he's outside. So Man like now is into the clutches of Harvey and Schumacher in behind.
Indeed, but Man like needs a push now. He needs to work with Harvey as well. Picks up the fastest lap on that previous lap. Simbarox one also picking up a 3-second time penalty there. But a 1.3 second gap. There is 9 laps left to go in this race. If Harvey and Man like can work together, it could be Man like on for the win. Harvey a potential podium? And maybe, I don't know if he would keep the lead currently of the championship so far. Obviously taking a win last week and then even like a P3 today, but he would still be up there at least.
He would be, and do you know what? I think with Schumacher, Nail, Nick all fighting aggressively in behind, this gap could easily just drag out outside of a second. And then once you're outside of a second, it's difficult to get back within that second. Harvey's going to set it aside to Man like, though, down the straight, in towards the left-hand turn at number 12, and it's easy as you like for Harvey. Pulls the inside line, gets the job done, even before we reach the corner. Through and he's into P2, and it's also nearly 3 wide in the background. Typical Finbob and Lawrence, I think, all battling out. Typical forces into the inside line. Finbob tries to get the up and under. Oh, Lawrence forcing that Typical off track. Typical there getting forced off track completely. Goes out for Kevin through as well. To the inside line through 14. Now for the inside of 15. Typical to the inside line, never going to work. 3 cars wide, you do not want to make it 3 cars wide through there. But Typical tries to get his own back on Finbob. These two, if they're racing in the Legacy Division on Tuesday, they absolutely detest each other from tonight. Finbob there in 9th, Typical there in 10th. Typical, I think, is into the pit lane. I would not be surprised, Harvey, if he actually comes in and retires.
Yeah, I think that's going to be calling it quits. It is
Yeah.
indeed. That will bring Simba Rocks into point positions, but obviously you need to factor in the penalties here. But Bobbert, we'll take a look at the penalties currently, as I put the wrong thing on. Simba has 6 seconds to his name. Currently, it would be Nam taking up that final point, if I'm right in my calculations at least.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, because
Oh,
Nam's
no, it wouldn't be.
behind
It
Bobbert.
wouldn't be, because Bobbert needs to close in more still, because he needs to be within 3 seconds of Simba.
The gap, yeah, about 6.6 seconds. I think I'm making that out right now. So he needs to close at least 6/10 of a second to get on the back. Speaking of on the back, Van Mike once again going to go for the move on Harvey. Desperately, I think they're trying to swap position just to try and get back within that second of Max von der Geest. Max von der Geest currently is just having the fun of his life actually out on track. It's pretty similar to the PSF1 race that we had around here last season in PSGL, where a driver, I'm not sure who it might have been, but a driver, I think it might have been Mateo or Cameron Dowd, somebody like that, just drug out the field outside of a second. And Max von der Geest is doing exactly that here tonight. He's got 40% of ERS, Man like on 25, Harvey on 48. So Harvey's got more ERS than both of them ahead of them, but he's still outside of a second. And Man like hasn't got DRS. So they're sort of running over each other in somewhat. And Harvey at the minute, on the back of Man like, can't really make an inroad. This is all now concertinaed up inside of a second. Max von der Geest has got to feel the wrath, but he's also got to play it very tactical, which I know he is good at.
Yeah, indeed, but at the same time, man, like, he's got DRS now on, obviously, Max von der Geest, so it's going to be an ERS game and a DRS game until the final lap, at least.
It will be, and Max von der Geest, honestly, is looking to try again and get Man like out, but Man like all of a sudden, it's just like Max von der Geest has hit a wall, and Man like is now trying to go through that wall ahead of him, and Man like in second is looking much stronger now than Max von der Geest. I think Max might have taken out too much out of his tyres. He's on the same compound as Man like, he's on the same strategy as Man like, but with him leading, he hasn't had anybody around him to attack. Man like is not going to think about attacking down the hit straight in towards turn number 12. So at this moment in time, Max von der Geest is there for the chop. He is there with man like Harvey Schumacher, Nail, all in behind. Nick just dropping off this battle slightly. But these six can easily try and get past Max von der Geest. It's just how well Max von der Geest manages this race. And so far, this is about as much pressure as I've seen him under in a long time.
Indeed it is, but it's a 3/10 gap now, and man, like, he's got the DRS. Does he have the ERS advantage currently as well? Because he could use that to his advantage.
Man like's got 60% of EOS, Max von der Geest has got 68, so Max von der Geest is currently better out of the front two. Harvey in behind, 57%, so he's actually not looking too bad either. Everyone, I think, is around about the same rate, apart from Nick in behind, 51% of EOS. Everyone's around about 60, 70, 80%. The top three are pretty much even in terms of the battery, so it may get tactical, don't get me wrong, but they've all pretty much got even ERS, so nobody's got a distinct advantage out of the front three.
Yeah, no one at least. I mean, Nick has been pushing with his ERS, obviously, to close back into this train. Mind you, he started P19 with a qualifying ban. He could be looking at a podium here.
He could be looking at the podium, and do you know what? I think, honestly, any one of these six could look at a podium. And this is the fascinating aspect of this race, is Man Like's going to go for the move on the back of Max von der Geest, goes for powers to the inside line, gets the job done, into turn number 12. That is how you apply freshen out to Max von der Geest. Max von der Geest, all of that sweat that he's put in over the last 5 laps or so, leading the race, is now off. That weight is now off his shoulders. He can wait in behind. He can play it tactical. He's in the best seat in the house as Schumacher tries one of his dive bombs to the inside line of 15.
He has, but he's not made it work currently, but he's very close at least, heading in towards turn number 19. DRS is still there for everyone currently in the top 6, obviously apart from man like Schumacher. He's looking for the dive bombs in those places that you wouldn't normally expect it, as in he was looking for turn 20 there. On the last lap I can understand, but currently, if anything, I think you'd lose the advantage that you have of DRS.
Yeah, he will. And do you know what? I think everyone, at this moment in time, Harvey, Max von der Geest, 5/10 per second, everyone's just cancelling each other out right now. And with 5 laps to go, 4.5 if you're pretty much being picky, everyone is in with a chance of this race win. Harvey could get that 3-second penalty removed if he wants to. He could try and put a report in and obviously try and get that 3-second penalty removed if he wants to. And if he does, he's now even compared to everyone else. But at this moment in time, he'll be the one dropping down to 6. Schumacher drops the inside line, makes contact with Harvey. Never going to work. There's the gap gone for the race, for the front 2. There goes man like a Max von der Geest's race win. Potential now has increased. Nail there into 3rd, Schumacher there in 4th. Harvey, I don't think has got damage. Schumacher there is fighting side by side. There goes Nick to the inside line as well. Got to be very, very careful indeed. But they're fighting very aggressively out on track now. All of this has gone from 0 to 100, and Nail now has got to do the donkey work to close in on the front 2. Otherwise, man like a Max von der Geest are dangerous in the front 2.
Indeed, if they can start pulling away now, they have the advantage. But Nail, he has done what he needs. He has kept it under a second. He's got DRS still. But that's also going to pull, obviously, Schumacher. But more importantly, it's going to pull his teammate along with him. Mind you, P19 is currently looking at podium if he can obviously push on more. Obviously, Nick's tyres are a lap older than Nail, Max von der Geest and Manlike currently. But with the way that Nick's pushing these tyres on, it seems like there's been no advantage at all.
No, there hasn't. And do you know what? I think apart from that contact, there has been distinctly no advantage out on track. And do you know what? It's actually really good because everyone else is now cancelling each other out once again. Nail has got to do, as I say, the donkey work to try and close in on the front 3, but he can also leave Schumacher behind. Schumacher's the one now, with a lap older tyres, along with Nick. Nick's tyres look comparatively fresh compared to Schumacher. Schumacher's now the one under pressure. And the front 3 could try and pull away. Schumacher again wide, coming through the left-hand of turn number 11, running down the straight towards turn number 12. He is an absolute sitting duck down the straight into the left-hand of turn number 12. Nick tries to close in the McLaren against the Ferrari. Where have we seen this one? Max von der Geest easily passes Manlike for the race lead as well. Nick tries to go all the way around the outside of Schumacher. Inside line will come from through turn number 13. The McLaren surely going to be ahead of Schumacher going through the corner. Nick through so far at least into turn 15. He's got the car moved. He's got the car ahead. Schumacher still tries to hang it around the outside, but Nick in the end forced him off track. Nice driving by both of them. Nick through and he's into 4th, but look at the gap, 1.3 seconds.
He needs a push now. If his teammate was probably being smart there, he would maybe backed off a tiny bit, but I don't think it would be enough because Nail, he's on the exact same strategy as the 2 ahead of him. He could go for the win now currently. I mean, where did he start? If I remember correctly, it was like P4. Yeah, it was P4. Nick's up 15 positions, by the way, like total. Schumacher up 3. Harvey obviously down 4. Lawrence as well, he's also made up 6. Addis has made up 8, but then again, there's also like 5 retirees, so if you want to go from that, then he's not made up as many. But all these tyres, they're going to be hitting a point where it is a wall. You need to get past maybe that 5% of tyre wear, otherwise you may just be in a state of you're going to start sliding into a corner and have oversteer and understeer, like Fernando Alonso back in like 2014, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I think with everyone being around about the same strategy as Manlike, I think it's going to go for the race lead. If I was him, I would have waited, but Manlike goes for the race lead on the back of Max von der Geest. Nail there into 3rd, Schumacher in 4th, Nick there in 5th. The front 3 are pretty even in terms of the tyres right now, in terms of as well how they've approached this race. Max von der Geest now is the one in the advantage seat. He is the one that's got more ERS compared to Manlike, but Manlike's ERS, he's a bit like Cameron Dowd on this game. 90% of ERS he's got now from what was 60%, I think, going into turn number 12. The recharge is incredible that he has done. He's now leading the race, 6/10 of a second over Max von der Geest. Max von der Geest is in the driving seat. He's in the best seat in the house there in 2nd. But with Nayland behind, trying to cancel him out, you've got the front 3, I think, pretty much as you want them. And Schumacher, Nick, Harvey, for me, that 1.5 seconds is too much with 2 laps to go.
It does seem like it currently. If I was to put any bets on, it'd be Max van der Geest from Manlike from Nail in the end, because obviously DRS is what you need on the final lap. Go for the move in towards turn number 12. Take it throughout, obviously 13, 14, hold it into 15, and then you're basically set for the win at that point. But the one thing you obviously don't want to do is what Mubarak did on the 22 game, if I remember correctly, was coming up to the line and then try to celebrate and hit the wall. I don't know if you remember that clip. Yeah.
I remember that vividly because I think I was commentating on that race, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely remember that vividly. And do you know what? If somebody happens like that, I don't think it'll happen in this race, but you never know. Anything can happen in Formula 1. It usually does. Harvey, by the way, on the back of Nick, going for 5th position. The front three are gone. The front three, this is your front three here tonight. Schumacher, Nick, Harvey have got no chance to catch back up.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be the top 3 in whatever order they're in, and then it's either going to be Schumacher and Nick, and then it's going to be Harvey, obviously, because that 3-second time penalty currently holds his name. But if we talk provisionally, the top 3 could be any order, and then 4 to 6 could be any order currently. It's just going to be, where do you play your cards? Going on to the final lap of the race now, Max van der Geest is in the optimal position, as long as he can stay close enough for turn number 12, get the move done, hold it throughout the final sector, and you've got the race win secured. But he needs to have a good lap now. He's got a 2/10 gap that has gone down. It's now 0.4 of a second. It's under 0.4, but throughout the sector 1, he has seemed better. It's sector 3 that Manlike has under, like, nailed, I think, more than anything. 0.5 of a second now currently. It's close.
Oh, big snap!
Big snap behind, I think that was on this. It was from Max van der Geest.
Max van der Geest.
Was it? I didn't even see that. Nick as well is getting moves done, but look now, it's almost 0.7 of a second. The defensive move has been made already from Manlike. I think into turn number 12, it's going to be too late unless he absolutely sends it now on the brakes. Can he go for it? He sends it, goes for the late dive bomb. The switchback is there for him. And Neil potentially getting into P2 now. Can he hold the outside line? Needs to back out of it slightly, making sure he doesn't go off the track. Dive into turn 15 potentially on the cards. It's not there yet. Going round the outside, Manlike having a mistake there as well.
Low on fuel.
He's low on fuel. That could absolutely ruin it now for him. But now through turn number 19, through in towards turn number 20, can Manlike hold on for the win? He is going to be able to through the final corner. From pole position to take the race win now. It is Manlike. It's from Max van der Geest from Neil. It's going to be Nick from P19 to P4. And then, did Schumacher DNF of the line? He did.
He actually hasn't. I don't know why. He crashed before the line. His wheel came off.
Did he get a penalty?
And he's crossed the line. He got a penalty. Yeah, he got a penalty. And he got, I'm not sure what the penalties are. We'll have a look in a little bit. But I'm sure Schumacher had a 3 or 6 seconds worth of penalties there. And in the end, crossed the line, pretty much Mubarak style. I'm not sure, as I say, if he was listening maybe to the stream in the background about your Mubarak comment.
It was
and in the
Ferrari.
end, Schumacher's done exactly the same.
It was a Ferrari back then. It's a Ferrari this time.
And that wheel has completely gone off. I'm aboard with him now, and his wheel has completely gone off. That right side wheel has gone completely off that car. In the end, Nick is the driver of the day awarded by the in-game fans. He's a turncoat
deserved it, honestly.
Mercedes.
Deserved it that time. P19 to P4 in the end. 15 positions gained. Insane for a drive from him. But in the end, Manlike, he had the advantage just with the way the game was as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think Manlike approached that race completely well at the end of the day. He deserved that race win. He did a lot better than Max van der Geest had on track. In the latest stage of the race, maybe the pressure got to Max van der Geest. That very late dive bomb to the left-hand side, running in towards turn number 12, was very costly for him. Didn't get the move in the end, but in the end, this man absolutely deserves it. Manlike takes the race win, and it's a good saver as well, as I am going to get the results up on my screen. Manlike as well, fastest lap of the race. Clean sweep because he also qualified on pole position, so he completes the Grand Slam here in America. Max van der Geest in second, Neil Giel there in third, Nick there in fourth, with Alpha Kevin in fifth, Harvey there in sixth. Schumacher did pick up a 3-second penalty and drops down to seventh. Lawrence there in eighth, Finn Bob in ninth, and then Simbarox ran off the top 10. Then it was Nam, Bobbert, Ades, Minotaur, Samuel Barker, the top 15. They're the finishers. Typical Karimi, Chris, Trey, and AGK all DNFing out of the race. But Manlike takes the race win. good confidence builder if he's part of EVE's lineup for Tuesday on Legacy Division.
Did you say for Manlike?
Yeah, for Manlike.
He's in TTM.
He is in TTM. Anyway, yeah, TTM's in Legacy Division anyway, so it still stands.
Either way, it works out in the end. But I mean, what a race overall. I don't think Neil, of all people, was expecting to get a podium in that, by the way.
Definitely not. And I think how the race transpired is Schumacher, Harvey battling aggressively. Neil just picked up the pieces. Nick picked up the pieces.
Yeah.
And in the end, it was a phenomenal drive from all of them.
Indeed. Minotaur, by the way, who boxed on the same lap as Typical, as we obviously knew, they would box 4 laps early, was on 77% at the end, by the way. But we will go to the interviews now, as we already have Neil joining, because he joined directly. Congrats on a P3 today. Were you even expecting to get that?
Well, after last week's performance, I'm going to be honest. It was not the sun was not shining the entire this week. It was not looking good at all. My confidence was probably going to be even less than last week, really, in China. But in the end, during a school lunch break, I went on F1 because why not?
Fair enough.
And I found something, and I just went so much quicker, and I regained all that confidence. Like Kota, right? It was not one of my go-to tracks. I really hated it. I ranked it on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being I hate it, 1 really. So really glad I found him today, and I really wasn't expecting a podium at all. I'm going to be really honest. It's
no, definitely
obviously
not.
brilliant, but like I really did not think last night I was going to be dreaming and then thinking about a podium at all. I mean, this is really good.
Well, congrats to you. But the thing is, can you take the seat back now from the cat?
Yeah, so the cat, right, he's decided to take a break. He did last week, of course, and cooked P6. Didn't do great quality, but I mean, the cat, yeah, he's taking his day off, so I've jumped in the seat today. He'll be back, I think, for round 4 or round 5. Forgot what those tracks are, maybe Hungary or Silverstone, but
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, the cat, he's cooking as well.
He's better than I am currently, at least. But I actually don't have any questions for you. The only question I had was, were you expecting to get a podium? James,
well,
do you
as
have
a
any
commentator, I can just generate my own questions, I suppose. I can ask myself some questions.
That works. See, it's me time.
What did I think of other drivers? No, let's not get there. But I mean, really, the entire race. I don't know if you noticed the first before pit stops, Schumacher was literally in my gate box.
Indeed,
the entire time.
he was very close. He was very close.
You will have noticed every time through the sketchy section in Sector 3. I'm taking a much. I have no idea about the turn numbers,
left-hander before the long right-hander.
Yeah. I'm taking a much more tight line just to defend each and every single lap because I knew he was going to try and go for it.
And I did see that quite often. There were sometimes that he would look for
Very
it
aggressive.
At least.
He's looking, yeah, definitely. But
apart from that, I have no questions for you, James. If you have any, go ahead.
I do indeed. Of course, it is his first podium of the season. It is a fantastic podium, I've got to say, at that perspective. But I want to focus on next week. Of course, we've got Singapore coming up, round 3 of the championship. How do you think you're going to get on?
Let's go back to when the calendar was announced. All right, the 10-race calendar was announced. I was really unhappy with it, apart from Singapore. Singapore happened to be my favourite track on the calendar, so I'm really looking forward to next week, in fact. Thank you for asking me that, but like, yeah, really, next week is going to be something different. When was the last time Singapore was on the calendar?
A couple
Quite
of seasons
a long time ago.
I want to say
exactly last year,
seasons.
pretty much.
I want to say 3 seasons ago. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think it's 11 months ago. I did it on pad.
Yeah,
so...
that just says how long ago it is then for you.
Well, it was my only ever race on pad. it was an exception.
Fair enough.
I finished outside the points, but I'm really, really looking forward to next week. You can probably expect me to do a similar performance, hopefully, than today.
Hopefully, of
I
course.
do cook, hopefully. Can't be certain yet until it happens.
Well, if I'm in the commentary box again, I'm definitely going to hold you to that promise if you're sitting here with me next week.
Yeah.
On in the commentary box. I don't have anything else, to be honest.
don't
So
either.
I'll be back over to you.
I don't have anything else for you either. Apart from that, congrats on your podium, and
Thank you.
at least let the cat have a break, please.
Yeah, I've let him today, right? Alright, you just leave him. He's chilling. But I can just... Yeah, if you want, I can go on my entire race. Just go step by step while we have time, really.
I probably need to go soon.
Okay, then we'll cut it there then.
That is good. But congrats on your podium, and
Thank you.
hopefully next week again can perform as well, or even better.
Yep.
But you can feel free to leave now, as we will get Manlike in for his interview, as I
Can I
will.
stay and listen, please?
If you would like to, yes.
Yeah,
Hello,
I'm staying and listen.
Manlike.
Hello, James.
That was yes, but okay. Wrong. Don't worry about that. Congrats on your win. Firstly, how was the qualifying lap that you set? Were you expecting to be on pole position by that margin that you had?
It was only a 10th, but
Exactly, it is only a 10th.
yeah, but the lap in sector 1 was just really bad there the entire time. I was a 10th down on my best lap, and I peaked in the middle sector, and I was just shaking throughout the last sector because I thought I was going to bottle it, but brought it home, got pole.
Indeed, you really did. It was on the limit, your lap at least. I mean, you had one of the earliest final laps as well, so I mean, you were expecting obviously someone to probably pip you at the end, but in the end, no one did, and you got pole position. And then leading on from there, in the end, pole position to the win. How does it feel to at least call yourself a tier 2 winner?
It was pretty nice. Yeah, just when I got placed in tier 2, I didn't expect to have this pace compared to the rest, but I guess I'm cooking. I don't know.
I mean, the pace that you showed, obviously, it also made, TTM sign you eventually from EVE, showed from the entire pace overall. So, I mean, it was a good race at least from your side. And then again, you've also got three TTM drivers in the top 4.
Yeah, Neil and Nick had both amazing races. He hasn't driven this track in ages, so he wasn't really expecting much, but good race from all the TTM boys.
Indeed it was. I mean, the only one who you would say had a real downside was obviously being Krumi, but apart from the fact he hit the pit wall, which I had an excellent view of. I'm sorry, Krumi, I'm actually not, to be fair. I don't even understand how you do that. But either way, you guys had a great race as an overall. But I honestly don't have questions. I can't think of any currently. James, have you got any for him?
Yes, I do. I've actually got 2. First of all, congratulations on the Grand Slam. Fastest lap of the race, also taken from your perspective as well. Just going on to the final lap of the race, you obviously had Maxwell McGee's, I think, at about 7/10 of a second coming out of turn number 11. Were you always fearful that he was going to launch it down the inside line like he did?
Yeah, because DRS is just broken, and I knew he's pretty aggressive, but with caution. I knew we weren't going to collide, but I knew if he sensed an opportunity, he would send it, and he did. To be honest, I did brake a little bit too early, but it didn't matter because I got to switch back.
Yeah, to be honest, I think he was going beyond the the Texas border, potentially over to Mexico or somewhere like that, the way he was going in towards turn number 12. It was one of those moves, I think, that was audacious, but you have to send it, I think, into that move. So I totally understand where Max is coming from his perspective in terms of that move. And final question from me, Singapore next week, how do you think you're going to get on?
think I've only had one league race around there, so I don't know. Pretty unknown, but I'll practice, try my best, and see where we go.
Yeah, all you
See
can
where
do
goes
is try your
from there.
best, and Manlike is definitely one of the most improving drivers, I've got to say, on the console side, and certainly on the PlayStation side. So at least, Harvey, we can throw our claim over him,
Yeah.
like we did with Cameron Dowds and the likes.
I mean, hang on. One of the races I definitely remember from you, man, like, you were. Was it P2 in Vegas in the end?
Yeah, and CCS,
CSS.
CSF.
No, but I definitely remember that race. You were on fire the entire time, which I also think, obviously, made PTM want to sign you in the end. But
Yeah,
you've got
I
pace
did.
up there, mate. Honestly, you've got the pace. So, in the end, congrats for your win. You two can go off and celebrate, obviously, with being double TTM on the podium. But apart from that, I've got no other questions. I'm guessing, James, you don't have any either.
No, I don't either. Both of you can go and enjoy your evening.
Right, that's okay.
That's fine. Apart from that, I'll move both them out of the commentary box. Go and celebrate your podiums, lads. But apart from that, it has been a good stream, James. Thank you for jumping in last minute call with me. But then again, next week is to be, as we said, Singapore. I will hopefully be there if I'm not working. But apart from that, it has been a good race from I think most people from a driving perspective, apart from some maybe incidents, but from a commentating perspective as well, it has been a fantastic one to get back to. Thank you, James. But that will be all for tonight. Hope everyone else has a good rest of their evening, and we will see you all again next week. But currently, Continental Tier 1 should be going for the lights out soon, so head on over to them. But we will see you all next week. Goodbye and good night from me.